Emma Frost, Marvel Rivals' newest Vanguard, has finally arrived. Now, besides being thick with 3 extra C's and having some of the best jiggle physics I've ever seen, sorry, it had to be said, this character is a rather interesting Vanguard, as she's both a ranged Vanguard and a Vanguard that can get up close and personal. And what I have for you today is the ultimate guide or masterclass to Emma Frost. We're going to be talking about abilities, tips and tricks, and even playstyle for this character. And if you're also looking to get choked up by Emma Frost, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, it greatly helps out the channel. But anyways, let's dive straight in. Now, before we talk about the abilities, let me give a quick breakdown of the character in general. Emma Frost is a 3-star difficulty hero, meaning she's not super hard to play, but I wouldn't zone out on her. You'll need to think carefully about when and how to use her abilities to maximize impact. Her gameplay really revolves around adapting to the situation at hand, and to achieve the maximum amount of damage and impact, I highly recommend to check out the combo section in the video. But anyways, since it is a guide video, let's talk about her ability. Her primary attack is none other than Telepathic Pulse. This is Emma Frost's core attack in her telepathic form, otherwise known as the normal form, and it's the foundation of her entire ranged playstyle. While it might seem simple on the surface, just a beam that deals damage, it's so much more than that. This ability rewards smart positioning, steady aim, and patient pressure. Used correctly, it can melt through enemy HP bars, control space, and set up devastating combos with the rest of her kit. So how exactly does it work? Well, the Telepathic Pulse fires a continuous psionic beam directly from Emma's mind. Once it connects to an enemy, the beam begins to ramp up in damage. The longer it stays linked to the target, there's a brief warm-up period, but once the pulse hits max charge, it starts doing serious work, shredding through even beefy frontliners. But here's the key features you need to know. First, it's damage over time. It doesn't burst instantly, instead the damage scales the longer it stays on target. And it also has somewhat of a soft lock-on. While you need to aim it properly, there's a bit of a leniency in tracking, so skilled players can maintain focus through movement and slight dodges. And it's a constant sustained pressure. You can keep the beam active until interrupted or until you switch abilities, making it excellent for zoning, poking, or finishing off weakened enemies. Now let's talk about why it's so important. Telepathic Pulse gives Emma a safe, reliable way to deal damage from mid to long range without needing to fully commit. If you're behind your team or positioned defensively with a shield up, you can stay in the fight without putting yourself at risk. It's also a constant damage output. Because it ramps up rather than spikes, this beam rewards timing and focus over pure twitch aim. It's perfect for players who like to wear down enemies, force repositioning, and chip away at the health bars until a burst finisher can seal the deal. It's also the ultimate charge generator. Want your ultimate faster? Keep that beam going. The sustained damage from a full duration pulse gives you solid energy buildup for your Psionic Seduction, allowing you to hit your ult timing right when it matters most. Now, how do you use it effectively? One of the strongest interactions in Emma's kit is how the Telepathic Pulse pierces through the sentience created by the Psychic Spear. Again, sorry if I mispronounced that. That means you can hit both the sentience and the enemy at the same time, amplifying your total damage output and creating intense pressure, especially against tanks or bunkered down supports. Then there's the shield and beam pressure. Drops mine Aegis between you and the enemy. This is your secondary attack, or mouse right click. Basically, place your Aegis and then beam from behind it. You'll have protection while still dishing out full damage. This is especially effective when holding a choke, stalling an objective, or force enemies to reposition. It also kinda acts like a soft chasing tool. If a wounded enemy tries to back away, Telepathic's Pulse consistent reach lets you stay on them and finish the job without overcommitting. Think of it like a leash. Once you connect it, don't let go until they're done. Now let's talk about situational strengths. Versus squishy characters, they panic when that beam ramps up. Even if they're behind cover, just a few seconds of connection time can bring them down to 50% HP or lower. So use it to pressure the backline and force supports to peel or pop cooldowns. Now versus tanks, while it won't burst a tank down instantly, a full duration pulse, especially when combined with Psionic Spear, can deal massive total damage over time. A great tool for softening them up before switching to diamond form to finish the job. Now let's talk about versus mobility based hero. It's not a hit scan, so highly mobile enemies can potentially dodge or break the beam, but with good positioning and proper prediction, you can clip them early and maintain connection, especially if they're already distracted or engaged. Now here are some of my personal pro tips with this primary attack. First is don't beam aimlessly. The ramp up mechanic means that flicking the beam around multiple targets reduces your overall pressure. Pick a target, lock in, and commit for maximum damage. This is the only character and only part of her kit that I think it's okay located tunnel vision on one enemy. My next tip is using corners. Peeking out just enough to fire the beam and then retreating keeps Emma protected while still applying pressure. You're kind of applying the same exact principles as you would to Hawkeye. Then of course you always want to stay moving. While channeling the beam, Emma isn't locked in place. Use this to strafe, reposition, or kite while keeping damage flowing. It's especially powerful when you're dancing around your mind's Aegis shield. Then my last tip is to know when to swap. If enemies close the distance or dive into your backline, don't cling to the beam too long. That's your signal to either pop Diamond Form and Brawl or create space and reset. That's how you can, in theory, master her primary attack. Now her secondary ability, Mind's Aegis, is quite literally mind over matter. Mind's Aegis is Emma Frost's defensive utility tool in her telepathic form. And while it might not be as glamorous as slamming enemies with Diamond Form or hijacking someone's brain, it's one of the most underrated clutch abilities in her kit. Think of it as your Psionic Fortress, a conjured barrier made of sheer mental willpower that creates space, denies pushes, and protects your team when things get chaotic. But what does this ability actually do? Emma projects a psychic barrier at a target location. Once placed, Mind's Aegis absorbs incoming enemy damage, acting as a buffer between danger and your squad. Now the shield isn't infinite like Magneto, but it is durable enough to turn the tide of a standoff and quick enough to cast in the middle of a fight. Whether you're defending a position or need an escape window, this ability gives you and your allies time to breathe, reposition, or even counterattack. Now, why exactly does this piece of utility actually matter? Well, first, it's a zoning tool. You use it to divide the battlefield. Blocking sightlines and damage pathways forces enemies to rethink their repositioning. On tight maps or narrow corridors, Mind's Aegis can completely halt an enemy push or funnel them into a less favorable direction. And it also acts as your team's support. While Emma isn't a traditional support, and I'm only saying this in the instance where she can't bubble teammates like Magneto or Hulk, things like that. Think of it like this: dropping a shield in front of your backline or squishy allies can save lives, especially during ult-heavy enemy dives or a spam-heavy firefight. It's also a great peel and escape mechanism. Under pressure, low health, pop the shield between you and your attacker, retreat safely, or turn the tables with a well-placed Sciatic Spear or ult. The barrier can buy those crucial 2 seconds that change death to domination. Now, how do you use it effectively? First is cover while poking. Emma shines at mid-range with the telepathic pulse, but standing out in the open can be rather risky. Hopefully by now you know that shooting it in the middle of the open is not the best idea. So you want to use Mind's Aegis to create artificial cover between you and your enemies. Fire your primary attack from behind it and you'll stay alive longer while still pressuring the front line. It also enables you to hold objectives and chokes much better. During control point fights, payload standoffs, or tight hallway engagements, this ability becomes a wall of tactical advantage. You can stall a push, protect a resurrection, or give your team time to rotate with a well-placed barrier. Now I believe when it comes to using this ability, it's very important to understand positioning. Now it's pretty self-explanatory, but you always want to place it between the enemy and your team. Not too far forward where it'll be ignored, and not too far back where it won't protect anything. Now as you are playing a Vanguard, you're playing for the team, so don't just shield yourself. Look for moments where your barrier will protect multiple teammates, especially strategists or high damage allies reloading or even ulting. Then of course use elevation and corners. Drop it on slants, behind cover, or in off angles where you can safely shoot from one side while enemies are blocked from the other. Now let's talk about advanced use and combos. So beam through the barrier. Because Emma's telepathic pulse pierces through enemies, you can drop Mind's Aegis and fire through it. This gives you free damage while being nearly untouchable, great for 1v1s, especially against heroes who rely on burst or aim heavy skills. Following that, you always want to set up your Psychic Spear plays. First, drop the shield. Bait the enemy into focusing you, then land a Psychic Spear. They'll be too busy trying to burn through the barrier to realize they're about to get popped. Following that, transition into Diamond Form. Low health, drop Mind's Aegis, activate Diamond Form, and charge in. You'll have momentary invulnerability while transforming, and the shield covers your entrance like a personal bodyguard. It's a psychological play too. It dares enemies to overcommit right into your fists. Let's talk about our first ability, which is Psychic Spear. Your body's here, but your mind, that's mine now. Do you get it? Never mind. But this is where Emma Frost stops being a mid-range poker and starts playing real psychological warfare. This is her high skill, high reward tool that can single-handedly flip a fight if used correctly. It's not just flashy, it's cerebral. It punishes positioning mistakes, disorients high priority targets, and sets them up to guaranteed burst damage. Now what does it actually do? When you activate Psychic Spear, Emma rips the sentience, aka the mind form, out of an enemy's body, placing it into the world as a visible projection. I know I said it wrong, don't hurt me. This sentience hangs in place threaded to the original enemy. When the sentience is activated, any damage dealt to it is transferred directly into the enemy. Following that, telepathic pulse, which is your primary beam, can pierce through the sentience, letting you hit both the projection and whatever's behind it, basically giving you double damage to the player. When it takes enough damage and shatters, it explodes, dealing a burst of bonus damage to the owner, essentially punishing them a second time. And that's why it's so vital. But now let's talk about the diamond form, the tankier, more brawl-like form. Once Emma Frost activates Diamond Form, she shreds finesse of her telepathy and transforms into a towering brawler of raw psychic-infused muscle. In this form, she takes reduced damage and she's completely immune to any forms of crowd control effects. You can notice by the gold border around your HP bar. But again, talking about her primary attack in the Diamond Form is Faceted Fury, and this replaces her Psionic beam. She now throws out a flurry of heavy, double-fisted melee strikes, each one infused with the hardness and force of her diamond body. These punches deal solid close-range damage with fast follow-ups and natural synergy with her other brawler abilities like Crystal Kick and Carbon Crush. Now, why exactly is this primary ability so important? Well, Faceted Fury isn't just a filler, it's your bread and butter when it comes to brawling up close. It scales beautifully with her Diamond Form's durability, letting you stand toe-to-toe with brawlers, bruisers, or squishies caught out of place. Now, this attack sets up and extends your close quarters combos. Land a couple of punches, chain into a Carbon Crush, toss the target, follow up with more strikes, then of course Crystal Kick them into a wall with a clean finisher. Now again, just a reminder, Emma becomes unstoppable in Diamond Form, meaning she can't be knocked back or interrupted. Combine that with constant forward pressure from Faceted Fury, and suddenly you're the one controlling the tempo of the fight. Backliners panic, frontliners are forced to peel, and the enemy team has to shift focus to survive. Now, how do you use it effectively? Now, Faceted Fury rewards sticky gameplay. Interpret that as you will. Now, you stay glued to your target, especially high-value squishies or even distracted strategists, and let the punches fly. Now, even if they try to escape, the Diamond Form gives you the durability to chase them down. But remember, never chase too far. Following that, you always want to use terrain to your advantage. Corner enemies, trap them against walls, or funnel them into tight spaces where they can't dodge your punches. That's when Faceted Fury gets really nasty. Now here's one combo example. First, you could dash in with Crystal Kick to knock them into a wall. Start swinging with Faceted Fury, grab them mid-punch chain with Carbon Crush, then slam them down, then finish off with more punches. This is one of the many combos that you can do with Emma Frost. And again, later on in this video, I'll be showing you every single combo that I know or came up with. But of course, anyone can adapt or change to it depending on the situation. So if you find some other pretty cool combos, let me know in the comments down below. Now, Faceted Fury is Emma's bruiser identity crystallized, literally. She's no longer the calm psychic on the sideline. Now she's in the fray, unrelenting and impossible to push back. Now let's talk about Emma Frost's second ability in the diamond or crystal form, and that's none other than Crystal Attack. A diamond encrusted boot to the chest? Yeah, you'll feel that at the respawn screen. In diamond form, Emma doesn't just punch, she flies with Crystal Kick. She turns into a living missile, launching forward with a brutal psychic infused flying kick that sends enemies flying. But here's the kicker, get it? If they collide with a wall or obstacle, they take bonus impact damage, making this ability not just a gap closer, but a finisher, an initiator, and a playmaker all at once. But what does it actually do? So Crystal Kick is a high impact mobility / displacement ability. Emma leaps forward in a straight line, kicking the first enemy she connects with and knocking them back a significant distance. If the enemy hits a solid object like a wall, terrain, or even another large character, they'll take extra damage from the impact. Now, why exactly is it so powerful? Well, Crystal Kick isn't just a movement ability, it's a way to start or end fights. The knockback itself creates space, while the wall slam bonus punishes poor positioning. It's excellent for punishing overextended enemies, staggering squishies, or isolating key targets from their team. Now, smart use of the Crystal Kick lets you turn the map itself into a weapon. Choke points, narrow corridors, alleyways, these are your playground. Use them to guarantee bonus slam damage and become a minimum execution tool against low health enemies. Even if you don't land a slam, the knockback can displace supports from safety, peel divers off of your teammates, or interrupt ultimates and channeling abilities. Now here's the Crystal Kick combo that I found is really good for a perfect follow-up or even an opener. So first, you're going to start out with Crystal Kick, pushing them away and into a wall, stunning them for a little bit of a time. From there, immediately follow up with Faceted Fury. When they've finally taken enough damage, you can go into a Carbon Crush. Or you can do it a different way. Start off with your Carbon Crush ability, follow up with Faceted Fury, and then Crystal Kick for a slam finisher. Now honestly, you can get super creative with it, chaining it around corners or against environment hazards. And it's honestly really fun to do. It reminds me of a Street Fighter game. Speaking of Carbon Crush, let's talk about her next ability. When Emma Frost enters Diamond form, she becomes a walking fortress of psychic infused muscle, and at the heart of it, that tanky chaos, is Carbon Crush, an aggressive cinematic ability that lets her lunge forward, grab a target, and slam them into the ground like they owe her rent money. So what exactly does it do? Well, Carbon Crush is a gap closing grab attack. Emma lunges forward a short distance, locks onto an enemy, and lifts them off the ground in a crystal dab grapple. Once she has them, she brings them crashing down in a violent slam that deals burst damage and briefly leaves the target vulnerable. And yes, it can pretty much cancel every single ultimate in the entire game, which is actually insane. So why exactly is it a core ability? Well, Carbon Crush is a rare hybrid ability. It's both a movement tool and a crowd control finisher. You get to close the gap on key targets, disable them long enough for a follow-up, and do big damage in the process. This makes it especially deadly when used to interrupt channeling abilities, catching mobile enemies with dash, or picking off supports who thought they were safe in the backline. Now, not only that, it's also the perfect combo tool. Think of this as the pivotal point in Emma's Diamond forward combos. Carbon Crush can start a combo, extend one, or finish it. Whether you're opening with a grab or using it after softening a target with Faceted Fury punches, this is how you turn pressure into a confirmed knockout. Now here are some of my advanced tips that I found when using this ability. First is the target priority. Use Carbon Crush on squishy's high mobility heroes trying to escape or channeler. And what I mean by channelers is characters like Scarlet Witch trying to ult, Iron Man trying to ult, and so on. You can even yank enemies off of objectives like payloads or capture points. Now let's talk about the post-crush advantage, and don't get it mixed with any other terminology you might know. After the slam, enemies are briefly vulnerable. Capitalize on this with a quick Crystal Kick follow-up, more Faceted Fury punches, or a Psionic Seduction ultimate to finish the job or control others nearby. Now something to note is Diamond form timing. You can use Carbon Crush immediately after transforming to surprise enemies. They'll expect a setup and you give them a suplex instead. And I gotta say, this is one of the most advanced Emma Frost guides you'll probably see on the market currently. Of course, it's the day after, but it's the original. Now let's talk about her ultimate, Psionic Seduction. This is Emma Frost's psychic masterpiece, a devastating mind control wave that rips through the battlefield, warping enemies' willpower and wrecking their composure. With this ultimate, you're not just doing damage, you're redefining who's in control of the match. Now, what exactly does it do? Well, first, it damages all enemies caught in its radius. Pretty self-explanatory. It has a range of 30 meters, so yeah, it's a pretty long range. Now, not only does it deal damage, it prevents them from activating their own ultimates. It's a silencing effect. It's pretty insane. If they stay in range for too long, she takes over their minds, causing them to lose control and walk helplessly toward her for a short duration. You can kind of think of it like a taunt ability, which in my opinion is a pretty cool mechanic, especially for this game. Now, you'll know that they're coming towards you when you see the little symbol above their head get fully charged. That means they're taunted. So let's talk about why it's so busted and strong. So Psionic Seduction punishes players who group up or get too cozy. The initial damage already makes them panic, but the real threat is the mind control. Anyone who doesn't escape in time, you basically remove their agency. They're now walking target dummies, strolling towards Emma while your team deletes them. This isn't just a crowd control ability, it's an anti-ultimate lockdown. You can stop a clutch strategist ultimate, prevent a tank's invulnerability or crowd control combo, or even deny a burst damage finisher right as the enemy team commits to a fight. So here are probably some of the best tactical use cases. Well, first is peel and counter. Enemy assassins diving your backline, ult and force them to walk to you instead. Enemy tank winding up a charge or a brawl ultimate, shut them down mid-animation. It's also a really great teamfight initiation. Pop it before your team commits. Anyone caught in the radius can't pop their panic ult, no life-saving support abilities, no surprise DPS plays. It's also a follow-up to a finisher. Pair it with Carbon Crush or Crystal Kick. They are already disoriented or out of position, this just seals the deal. And you can easily use it to control zones. Use it to gatekeep choke points or objectives. Anyone trying to push through risk eating a mind hijack. So overall, a super useful and insane ultimate ability. Now let's talk about her team up, Mind Over Muscle. When Emma activates her team up with Magneto or Psylocke, a clone of the partner character is summoned. This isn't some passive little minion, it's a fully mobile, aggressive copy that mirrors the original's actions in real time. Now here's what it mimics. primary attacks, abilities, movement. Now, it will not copy ultimates, otherwise that would be completely broken. Basically, what it allows you to do is if you have a Magneto on your team, it will summon 2 Magnetos for a short duration. The whole idea of this is that you can essentially bubble 2 of your teammates. Think of it like this: if you have strategists using their ultimates, anything like that, you can try and save them with these bubbles or just deal some extra damage or displacement. If you're playing Psylocke, it can easily allow you to do a ton of burst damage with your combos that will literally guarantee you one-shots to the enemy. Now, trust me, there's a ton of scenarios where this team up works extremely well, and I generally don't have the time to go over every single scenario that there is, but honestly, just take my word for it. So I want to talk about a couple different playstyles you can expect from this character. First is what I like to call the early engagements, otherwise known as the controller phase. At the start of a match or during neutral phases of a fight, Emma shines in her normal telepathic form. This is where her ability to poke, protect, and manipulate enemy positioning really comes into play. Now, because of the sheer amount of damage she can actually output, typically I find her best playing from the backline or the midline, of course depending on the situation. Position yourself near natural cover or behind your tankier allies so you can freely use telepathic pulse, her beam-like primary attack. It's excellent for applying sustained pressure to enemies, especially squishy DPS or overexposed strategists. Now, following all this, look for opportunities to tag tanks or frontliners with Psionic Spear. This ability allows you to pressure even the most durable enemies from a distance. Damage dealt to the spear's sentence, I'm not sure if I said that right, hits the real body and the synergy with your beam. This means you can burst down high health targets while staying safe. Now let's talk about Mind's Aegis or her shield. This is your safety net. Don't just throw it out randomly, place it strategically to cut off enemy sightlines, block ultimates, or help your team regroup. It's especially strong when used to hold choke points or buy time during a retreat phase. Now, during this quote-unquote phase, your goal is to weaken enemies before the real fight begins. Force them to burn cooldown, make them play extra defensive. Emma Frost is great at softening up enemy teams and setting up eliminations without fully committing. Now let's talk about the mid-fight where she enters the diamond. Once the enemy is low, distracted, or diving into your team, this is your moment. Activate diamond form and take control of the front line. In this form, Emma trades her finesse for raw power. She gains major damage resistance and becomes immune to knockbacks, which makes her ideal for disrupting enemy lines, interrupting combos, and soaking up damage during critical moments. Now, Carbon Crush is your gap closer and crowd controller. Use it to grab high priority targets, ideally someone who's already low from earlier pokes, and slam them into the ground. It's a brutal crowd control move that can isolate enemies or hand deliver them to your damage dealers. After that, follow up with Faceted Fury. This is her double punch primary attack. It's fast, hard hitting, and perfect for finishing off enemies who are too close for combat. Then comes Crystal Kick. Use this either to displace enemies into a wall for bonus damage or into your team. It's your tool for positioning enemies where you want them and breaking up tight enemy formations. This whole combo, Carbon Crush into 2 punches into a Crystal Kick, is devastating. It can delete squishy targets or turn a tank into an easy cleanup for the rest of your teammates. Now, I really want to talk about the gameplay strategy behind her ultimate, Psionic Seduction. Now, this ability is literally insane. When activated, Emma sends out a wave of psychic energy that damages enemies and locks them out using their own ultimates. This alone can win fights, especially if you hit a strategist, a tank, or anyone with a powerful team-wide ability. But it just doesn't stop there. If the affected enemies fail to escape in time, Emma takes over their mind. They're forced to walk slowly towards her, completely helpless. Now, this can pull enemies into elimination zones, force mispositioning, cancel critical escape abilities, and open them up for your team to collapse on. A well-timed Psionic Seduction can completely turn a fight. Imagine stopping a support from casting their revive like Adam Warlock, or catching an enemy flanker right before they pop off. It's the definition of fight control. This character revolves around adapting and dominating, so here are my key tips. Emma isn't a one-mode character. She requires you to adapt constantly. If you're getting divided, shield up, land a Psychic Spear, and then transform to Diamond form to peel and punish. If the enemy is grouped tight, use your normal form to poke them apart and bait key cooldowns. If your team is engaging, transform into a frontline menace and dive in with a Carbon Crush and Crystal Kick, flipping the fight. If an enemy ultimate is coming, counter with your own. Psionic Seduction could stop mid-cast and turn their aggression against them. Now, in summary, Emma Frost isn't just a bruiser, she's a battlefield conductor. She chips away at the enemy's confidence, punishes bad positioning, and then turns into a walking tank when when it's time to finish the job. So again, in the early game, your whole goal is to zone, poke, and protect. Following that, your mid fight, or when you're fully in a team fight, you disrupt, tank, and brawl. Then in a late fight, when enemies have their ultimates, shut it down with your ultimate and seal the win. She's not the easiest hero to master, but if you can juggle her forms, land your skill shots, and time your transformations wisely, Emma Frost will dominate the battlefield with elegance and sheer force, and her mesmerizing beauty. Now that you got the playstyle down, let's talk combos. This is your bread and butter. Now Emma Frost, in my opinion, is a very combo driven character. She kind of reminds me of a character out of Street Fighter. With that being said, here are some essential combos you need to know for playing Emma Frost. Now everyone has their own adaptations for combos and whatnot, but here's what I specifically found that works best. Now here's her first combo, and this is the diamond form combo. Once you've gone full diamond, it's time to brawl. Target someone squishy or overextended. Open up with Carbon Crush. Follow up with 2 basic punches, then use Crystal Kick to slam them into the wall. Or you can kick them into your team for an instant takedown. If there's no wall or you're not necessarily with your team, just keep them close and finish the job with Fist of Fury. Now this next one is our Psychic setup. While in normal form, poke with the Telepathic Pulse. Then drop a shield to stay safe. Land a Psychic Spear, then quickly switch to diamond form. Smash the speared enemy with a Carbon Crush, and you've got a guaranteed elimination combo. This combo is a little bit trickier to do, but it's definitely worth it. Now again, like I said, there's probably a long list of combos that people are going to be coming up with, but those are the combos that I found that are most beneficial to my playstyle. Now when it comes to countering Emma Frost, there is a few characters that you want to keep in mind. First again, Emma Frost is a mid to close range character, so any character that outranges her or some type of flying character are going to be solid counters to her. Think Iron Man, Storm, Hela, Hawkeye, Black Widow. All of these ranged characters will be doing a ton of damage. But in a general sense, high burst damage is usually going to be the key. Emma doesn't do well against quick eliminations, especially when caught out of position. And crowd control is another way to counter her. When not in diamond form, she's vulnerable to stuns, slows, and knockups, so these are great counters. But regardless, hopefully this video has helped you in any way, shape, or form to get a better understanding of how to play Emma Frost in Marvel Rivals for Season 2. And if you're new here or find yourself coming back on the regular and you aren't already subscribed yet, or you just enjoy my content, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It greatly helps me out. We're pushing for 20,000 subscribers, so maybe we can hit that goal by this video. But regardless, I hope you have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next one.